All right, hello, good people. Welcome back to PlayPosit. So, in this unit, Unit 8, we've been talking about personal financial literacy. Okay, so PFL or personal financial literacy is how you are able to comprehend your monetary choices and choices you make with your money and how that leads to financial stability or instability. So, we're going to do this in 4 sections. I'm going to back up just a little bit so you can see them. There we go. Okay, so our 4 sections are how to earn, how to spend, how to pay, and how to save. So we're going to go ahead and dig right into how to earn money, okay, so in a legal way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dig into that. So how can we prepare to be financially literate? Now, being literate typically refers to being able to read and comprehend. Now, you might be able to read a sentence, but that doesn't mean you know what it says. So we want to make sure that you are aware of how to handle your money and the choices that you can make with your money. Because once you get out and about into the real world and you receive a high school diploma, there is no more help in terms of how to balance a budget, how to write a check, how to apply for a credit card, anything like that. And some of the biggest mistakes that people make in their life is to not be able to handle their own money. And they usually make mistakes like that because they don't know any better. And I don't want you all to not know any better on what to do with your money. So let's go ahead and dig into how to earn. So here's our essential question for today. Please write this in the essential question box on your note sheet. How do financial decisions impact financial stability? So why in the world do we need personal finance in the first place? Well, because people have no idea what to do with their money, and we need to make sure that you don't do that. Some surveys have been taken, and about a third of high school graduates have ever taken a dedicated personal finance class or a money management class, and only a third of them feel very confident in their ability to manage their own finances. And again, once you get out and about and you move on from high school into whatever life path you choose after that, typically speaking, unless you have a parent or a guardian who is good at managing money, you might not have any background in how to do that. And want to make sure that you get some from school. Okay, so typically people spend about 2 weeks trying to pick out a prom dress and only 5 hours learning how to pay for college. We should probably switch the two. All right, this is a tweet. I thought it was funny. I know I like Twitter. All right, so you're almost 22. You should have learned about taxes in high school. First of all, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That is very correct. That is the only thing that I remember from high school honors biology. Shout out to Miss Beechler. She was a rock star teacher. So sorry that I don't remember stuff from your class. Okay, speaking of graduating, what is the cost of not graduating to yourself, to others around you, and to the United States government? All right, so obviously you're going to limit yourself in opportunities. Now, do you absolutely have to graduate from high school to be a successful human being? Not necessarily. However, it certainly doesn't hurt the amount of opportunities that you have to graduate from high school. All right, so cost to yourself, 25% of students become dropouts, and your average annual income, so annual meaning yearly, is about 32K, just a little more than that if you are a high school graduate. If you are not, your average income is only about 17K, so you are missing out on almost double your annual income if you do not graduate from high school, because your opportunities to make money are a little bit more limited, actually a lot more limited. About half of death row inmates are dropouts, and the employment rate of dropouts is only 45%. So that means out of every 10 people, only 4 to 5 of them are employed, and the other 5 or 6 don't have a job. Okay, that's not really good odds for yourself. So the cost to you is your average annual income and your opportunities for employment. A cost to your family can be an issue. Typically, half of all parents on welfare are dropouts. So the cost to your family is that you have not only limited yourself with opportunities of making money and becoming more financially stable, you've also done that for your children or your parents or whoever you are associated with. 1 in 3 teen moms is typically a high school dropout because of a host of reasons. Sometimes it's too difficult to be able to manage your time and manage your interests plus your child's interests. So that could be an issue. And then fatherless children are also twice as likely to drop out. So not only are you affecting yourself, you're affecting other people around you. And then finally, the cost of the United States of America. This causes a significant financial burden on taxpayers because taxpayer money does go towards incarceration. So there are people who are incarcerated. 75% of state prison inmates are high school dropouts. Not to say that if you drop out, you will automatically become a criminal, but it is much easier for you to get yourself into some less than savory situations if you have a lot of extra time on your hands. Typically, the annual public spending on incarceration is $24 billion. So, if less people are incarcerated, we're spending less money on them and more money on other things like education or roads or public safety, something. All right, let's skip this and that. Also, this and that as well. We'll watch that later. All right, so you have graduated because everybody in here is going to graduate, right? Right. You're all going to graduate from high school. So now what do we do? All right, so step one could be further education. All right, that could be your first step afterwards. And you can do this multiple ways. You don't necessarily have to go to college, okay? So you can go further your education in other places. The first thing is community college. And a lot of people bake on community colleges and bake on Pitt Community College. You shouldn't do that, okay? Because typically a community college is a good way for you to kind of start your educational career if you're not really sure what you want to do. You can start out at Pitt and get all of your general credits out of the way and then transfer to a larger university. It saves yourself a lot of cash and then figure out what you want to do. Okay, typically you can receive training or a license for a job or a skill at a community college. They do not just have classes for people who are trying to gain a degree. You can also take other classes just for the sake of taking classes and gaining a skill. This can be used to finish your education later in life if you want to, or before you start looking at formal colleges and universities. Right, so Pitt is our local example. All right, college is another further education option. So we use college and university kind of interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. So Barton College in Wilson, which is not too far from us, is a lot smaller than East Carolina. Their student body is a fraction of East Carolina's, and the amount of options they have for what they can major in is also smaller. So that is something to consider. If you like a smaller environment, you don't want so many people on your college campus, you want just kind of a small atmosphere where you know everybody and you know your professors, that is something that you might want to look into. But if you're like, nope, I need people, I need options, you might not want to go to a smaller college. You might want to go to instead a university. So typically, university is 4 years in what's called a course of study. So in order to graduate with a degree, you have to go through a whole bunch of different classes, just like you do for high school, just at a higher level. It's usually bigger, has more options. So where Barton College and Wilson might only have like 40 or 50 majors, East Carolina probably has 200 plus. So there are a whole bunch of options as to what you can major in. You can also get graduate degrees at universities, so like a master's degree or a doctoral degree. Right here is a crappy photo of East Carolina, at least the College Hill end of campus up here. All right, our second option could be to join the workforce. All right, so if you want to go ahead and start working, go for it, make some money. Number 3, you could join the military after high school if you did not want to learn a trade or a skill and further your education and you are not feeling going to the workforce, you could join the military. There are benefits to that as well. In order for you could receive great health care, you could receive free housing for a while if you live at the barracks. You have absolutely fantastic insurance. You can enlist right out of high school if you'd like to. You have to be 17 with parent permission, or you can be 18 and enlist directly into a branch. You just have to talk to a recruiter. Or if you want to wait to go to school, like if you want to go to college, but you're like, I'm really not trying to have all these student loans, you can go to school and allow the military to help you pay for it. So you have to be, obviously, you have to be 17 with parent consent or 18 in order to enlist. You must have a GED, which is called a general education degree, or a high school diploma. Okay, so You have to have graduated high school, have to be a U.S. citizen or what's called a legal alien. So you have to be in the country legally with permission from the United States government and your home government, and you must pass a physical test. So each branch has a different version of a physical test in order to enlist. All right, so if you'd like to help your student loans be a little bit less, you can allow the military to help you pay for that. All right, a fourth one could be to volunteer. All right, so there are three different ways to volunteer with the United States government specifically and have them pay for your room and board. The first one is the Peace Corps. So you can travel abroad and serve people in underprivileged countries. The goal is obviously to promote peace. One of my friends currently works for the Peace Corps. She lives in Costa Rica year-round, and as part of her job with the Peace Corps, she teaches English as a foreign language to elementary school students, and the Peace Corps pays for her room and board. She does not have to pay her rent herself. She does earn what's called a stipend, so she earns a little bit of money from living there and from working in Costa Rica with children, and so she uses that to pay for food and clothes and stuff like that. So the Peace Corps will help you out with that. And additionally, if you're like, yeah, I want to travel, but I don't want to travel internationally, I would like to see all 50 states. Instead of using the Peace Corps as your means to get around, you can use AmeriCorps. So the government will then pay for you to travel inside the U.S. and serve the underprivileged. Another one of my friends works for AmeriCorps, and she lives in St. Louis, Missouri. She works for an anti-sex trafficking agency, and they help victims of sex trafficking get back into the workforce and have a stable job, have a stable financial income, stuff like that. So AmeriCorps will help you out with that. Once she finishes out her assignment with AmeriCorps in St. Louis, I think she's slated to go to another state after that. So they will help you pay to travel. And the last one is Senior Corps. So the government will then pay for senior citizens who are 55 plus, aka you're retired, to travel around and offer guidance and support for teens and adults in need, and you just mentor other individuals. So those are some options. All right, moving on. Okay, so when we talk about jobs, all right, we talked about what happens after you graduate and how to earn money. Having a steady job is the way to do that. Okay, so typically you see people who are in the medical field as the top 10 highest paying jobs. Which also means that you have a lot of college to cover. So each one of these red dots is 1 year of college, and these last four is a paid internship or what's called a residency. So it takes you a long time to be able to get out and about and be making this much money. So you don't come right out of the gate out of medical school making $225K. That's not how that works. You have to make sure that you have all of your both your medical degrees, your undergraduate and your med school degree, and in addition, you have to do some like internships and work to prove that you got your life together and you know what you're doing. So typically speaking, if you notice this, not a high school graduate all the way up to an advanced degree, the more education we got, the more opportunities we have to earn more money. All right, speaking of degrees, one of these is an associate's degree, typically done in 2 years, and you've completed what's called a course of study. The next one is a bachelor's degree, which is what I currently have. Typically, it takes you 4 years to complete this. You can complete it in 3 if you're like me and you do the most. And you have completed what's called an undergraduate course. If you've heard something called like someone say like, oh, I did that in undergrad, that's not a bad thing. Okay, a master's degree is obviously given for mastery of a specific subject. That means that it's taken you 2 to 6 years and you have specifically tried to do this one thing. You didn't have to take any math classes, no English, whatever. You just focused on that one particular thing. Right, a doctoral degree is given for mastery and usually also research in a specific area, and they can teach about that subject. So you don't have to just be a medical doctor. For example, like Dr. O'Day here at South Central High School, he is a doctor of education. So you don't have to have doctor in front of your name if you're only a medical doctor. You can be a doctor in other things. Okay. Another side note, licensure might be required on top of your degree in order to practice. So I, as a teacher, cannot just go ahead and start teaching people stuff. Right out of college, I had to go get my teaching license as well. So licensure is a special certificate to practice said skill. Other side note, an unemployment rate is the percent of the population that is without a job and is also actively searching for one. So, like stay-at-home moms don't count as part of this because they're not actively looking for a job. People who are retired do not count into this number because they're not looking for one either. And then college is expensive. You get the point. All right, and this is where we're going to stop for today. So this has been How to Earn Money Part 1.